The future of space games. Yes, that is a very lofty title, and here's the reason for it. The future of the genre is in the hands of indie developers and titles, and that is certainly a good thing, because whilst they may lack in resources, they more than make up for that with ambition, dedication and imagination. So do stick around, because I've spent some time looking for some quality games here that will really give you an indication of where the genre is heading. And by the way, you can also try a few of them out, because many of these also have demos. Meanwhile, if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe. Let's see if we can get this video to as many people as possible, because, you know, the genre really does need it at this point. Alliance Peacefighter is a linear, story-driven space sim built as a tribute to 90s cockpit classics. Think here, TIE Fighter, Wing Commander and games like that. So here, you fly the Alliance's most advanced starfighter through a campaign about a plot to break the fragile peace between two superpowers. Missions focus on first-person combat with full power and shield management, and it seems the focus is on really keeping everything smooth and pretty direct and straightforward. In other words, a lot of action. Visually, you'll notice the graphics are very stylistic. You also notice the HUD is very clean. Aside from the combat, gameplay also includes some downtime with your teammates between sorties. The game does support VR, but it's also available as a traditional game on regular monitors. There's also some HOTA support in there. I know a lot of people are going to be happy about that. But you can also play on gamepad, as well as with VR motion controllers and mouse and keyboard. And yes, there's also going to be a Steam Deck compatibility in there as well, not to mention some OpenTrack support. The game released back in June 18th, 2025, so it's been out for a little while at this point, but it's still, to all intents and purposes, a pretty new space game, and really does indicate the direction of where things hopefully are heading in terms of the indie scene. Moving on, we come to BattleGroup VR2. As the title suggests, this is a sequel. It's a VR real-time space strategy game where you command a growing fleet from the bridge of your flagship. Now this all takes place across an open-ended galactic map where you can explore, mine, trade, as well as hunt. And then there's also a load of upgrading to go on as well on your ships. You can also have your captains from your fleet trained up, as well as issue commands in real time, and all of this takes place against the combat that you'll be seeing around you and in the background. The game then, as I said, is a sequel. It's slated to release on Steam on the 7th of November, so very close now at this point. It's also listed for MetaQuest headsets, and meanwhile a free demo launched on Steam for the PC version back in September. So yeah, if you want to try it out, you can certainly do so. Next up, we come to Wrath and Retribution. Now this is a little bit different, although it's certainly as fast-paced as the others. It's a space combat roguelike. It's set in a solar system on the brink of disaster. Now here, the remnants have seized the solar transportation network and risk tearing it into a singularity. And that's where you come in as the hero of the story. You pilot a prototype ship, and your designation, your mission, is to drive the enemy out. This all takes place over procedurally generated missions, which typically last 5 to 7 minutes, and between runs you upgrade weapons, ship modules, and your onboard AI. In terms of gameplay, combat takes place as dogfighting against fighters and capital ships. There's some high stakes there because, yes, permadeath is very much a thing, and that puts some pressure on you. The game is listed as coming soon, but there also is a demo available for this one if you want to try that one out. Project X, Light Years. This one is a title that's somewhat of my favourite on this list, and that's because I'm a huge Amiga game fan. Back from the 80s and the 90s, I really was somewhat of an Amiga fanboy. I don't mind admitting that. One of my favourite games from that time was from the Project X game series. This is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, somewhat similar to R-Type in nature and those types of games. This one has been licensed from Team 17, I do believe. So yeah, it's not just a spiritual successor, but it's very much in keeping with those games from that era. So here you thread beautifully staged levels, lots of them in fact, face swarms of enemies and bosses, collect power-ups including a large pool of random modifiers, and then tune your loadout for speed, spread, defense and much more. The game includes shared split-screen local co-op as well as achievements, with review sentiment here trending towards very positive, so that's pretty good indeed. Now this one has been around for a little while at this point. It launched back on the 15th of August, But yeah, I highly recommend checking this one out if you're into side-scroller shoot-'em-ups. Starhome is a single-player, real-time strategy game about leading a migrant fleet, effectively your entire civilization. Puts me in mind a little bit perhaps of Battlestar Galactica there. Now you're leading them through hostile space full of lots of danger, and the core hook here is spatial pressure. That means living space, production, defences and weapons all compete for limited volume aboard each ship as you balance survival against output and readiness. The game's here also listed, like many of the others here, as coming soon. No full-on release date just yet. The game is developed by Digifox and published by Games Operators. So yeah, very slim information on this one at the moment, but I do think it bears keeping an eye on because sometimes these games, just like FTL, can really come out hitting hard. Now, Delivery Must Complete is not a space game, but I've included it here because it's stylistic and is very much in keeping with the same type of gameplay we've seen from other space games here. So this is a shooter. It brands itself as Devil May Cry meets Ace Combat. It's a high-speed, Ace-like roguelike with a style, I guess you could say. Not too much information on this one just yet, but I do think it's worth keeping an eye on, because if you like games like Ace Combat, this one could be worth checking out, especially if it comes in with a low price point. Now, the next one is really interesting to me because this one is being developed or created, co-created, whatever, by a YouTuber, none other than Leveled Cap Gaming. So this one is especially interesting to me for a lot of different reasons, partially because of who's developing it, but also because it's a top-down space action RPG set in a newly discovered black hole system. So you pilot customizable ships here with ballistic handling, retro burns, drifting, careful docking, all that sort of stuff, and whilst taking on contracts, fighting and extracting rare elements. So here in the game, cargo mass directly affects performance of your ship, so overloading it makes the ship sluggish, for example, and fights support subsystem targeting, long-range ordnance and environmental use as well, so think in terms of asteroids as cover and ambush points as well. The game overall blends with station contracts and free exploration via jump points and offers progression through components, ships and faction reputation. There's no release date on this one just yet, going to be a while perhaps before we see it, but if you're interested in this one, do check out the links in the video description because there's a lot of dev blogs from, well, the creators of the game, and these are all well worth listening to. Stellar Reach is a 4X strategy sci-fi game. It's set on a hostile frontier. You lead a faction towards victory through conquest, prosperity and industrial might, and all of this is about advancing along 6 different distinct text trees. The gameplay unfolds in fully 3D Starfield, so this is a space game. It is very much set in space, with earlier scouting, expansion and logistics all taking place, framing against some diplomacy as well as conflict. Now, over the years, I've learned to not measure the quality of a game like Stellar Reach against its graphics or its interface, because when it comes to games like this, graphics are rarely a measure of quality. But this is not too much of an issue for you because you'll be able to try it out for yourself completely free. There's a demo available for Stellar Reach and the game is currently discounted by 10%, and that offer ends on the 5th of November, so you've still got a few days for that if you're watching the video before the 5th of November. So there we have it, a bit of an insight and look as to where space games are standing right now in the indie scene and the direction they appear to be heading in overall. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments section below. As always, absolutely love to hear from you. There is another video on screen right here if you want to check that out. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll catch you next time.